I'm a little phlegmy today, so hopefully I don't um, sound too terrible during the reading. I'm just gonna flip some cards today, nothing super fancy, although I think I will start out with the Moonology, um, just because we had that full moon, okay? So if you missed my full moon readings, please do go back to the community tab and look at the most recent postings, or go to the live tab and you will find them there. Okay. Adjustments are required. You're very close to achieving your goal. Okay. Yeah, maybe it's that last 5 pounds, last whatever that hurdle is, right? So that might be part of the adjustment that's required, okay? Some kind of tweak. The end of a tough cycle approaches. Yeah. And once you actually hit that goal, you're going to be like, oh my God, I actually did it, right? Yeah. Nothing is yet set in stone. So if for some reason you haven't crossed that finish line, don't think you're not going to get there. All right. Like, it's only Monday, right? Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. I'm just going to do the Rider Waite now. I'm getting some interesting downloads. So let's see how this pertains. Good morning. The Six of Cups reunion. Okay, so what kind of adjustment might be required for the Six of Cups? Maybe this is a relationship, a family reunion, something that you've wanted to happen, but it's like not quite there yet, right? Wow, the Sun card. I drew this the other day in one of my readings, well, 2 days ago, I think. Anyway, so yeah, everything that has made you, you've allowed it to let you shine, right? And still keep like a childlike spirit. Okay. So just think about that as you're moving forward for your goal. Okay. Again, the number 19 may be significant for somebody. The Fool card. Okay. So yeah, getting off of the merry-go-round, right? Like, here's another hoop to jump through. Here's another hoop to jump through. Like, sometimes, we feel like we are doing that, like, at work, people be like, oh, well, if you do this, maybe you'll get that promotion, right? And then promotion time comes and they're like, well, yeah, I just don't know how you really applied yourself this year. Even though you went through all these hoops thinking, and then you're like, at the end of the day, you're like, oh, well, I guess who's the big dummy now, right? They got their work done, but they're not going to give me any credit for it. I see. I see. So instead of beating your head in about it, collective, you might be like, well, effort in, effort out, right? You know? They don't want to pat your back. They don't want to give you that good rating. They don't want to give you that discretionary bonus that you know that they can give you without questions, without even like getting approval from anybody. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. Well, who are you in the company, right? Anyway, So yeah, worrying about that and not fooling yourself that there's politics involved. Exactly. There's politics involved that want you to run around in circles. You know, that's how these cable news channels draw everybody in. Like, let's get angry at each other. You know, people are talking about people's civil rights being violated. You know, I've had mine violated a few times and nobody gave a flying F. And yes, I was born in this country. And yes, I am an educated person. And yes, I do pay my taxes on time and my mortgages are all paid up. Right? So cry me a river. Right? Because the ACLU never came knocking on my frickin' door. All right, when I've been harassed by, I still don't even know the names of my accusers, but they kept me away from work. Yeah, they sure did. I reported that to some state board of so and so, which, you know, probably has, you know, like 3 people working there, right? You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, I'll get to that in 5 years. So when I'm saying collective, the end of a tough cycle approaches. You can wait. You know, you ever see that movie, the Where's My Towel movie, Hitchhiker's Guide, right? You can wait on that one group of dudes to, you know, species to get that paperwork processed, or, you know, you can ride your seesaw and get the monkey H out of there. Stop worrying about it and call a spade a motherfucking spade. And you don't have to be Sam Spade to know it's a spade. Some military types may appreciate the tonalities of my expressions. Others might not get it, and that's okay. It's just not the reading for you. But we know what we're doing over here, so I rebuke your negative energy, insinuating that we don't know what we're doing. Okay? Right? Wake up and smell the coffee. It's called vocal exercise. Get used to it. Yeah. So Monday, right? People being like, help me, save me, my life's falling apart. And you're just like, I have a job to do too, if you didn't know. And it doesn't involve saving your ass that I already tried to help save how many times? Right? So that might be part of why this reunion hasn't exactly happened. Right? And you're like, I have no problem with you doing such and such and doing that and this and everything else, but don't expect me to be a part of it and then to show up acting like I've been part of this the whole time, because that is not the case. Right? And that's what they're like, oh, oh. They're wanting to point a finger at you and be like, dude, I wasn't involved in this building plan. Castle's made of sand, bro. You ever hear, oh, that's right. You already went and did without thinking about it. That's what one of the old supervisors I worked with. He's like, just hit them, they can undo it. Well, we can, but it might take 10 bodies in 10 days. Is that the kind of chaos you want to throw in the fire, sir? Or do you need a little attitude adjustment about thinking that you know everything? Yeah, he's been arrested for DV a couple times. No wonder he thinks he knows everything. Well, there are men and so very few prisons filled with women. Maybe it's because we're out here working and paying our bills and mowing our grass and watching our kids and doing our laundry and making our food and so is a reunion possible? I mean, I asked one of my I went to a very small rural community school, so we kind of like grew up around each other since, a lot of us were kids. So, I've been to a lot of like my reunions and stuff. But, some of my other relatives, I'd be like, "Oh, are you gonna go to your," especially when I was younger, when I would be like, "Oh, are you gonna go to this, blah blah," and they're just like, you know. And even some of my friends that I graduated with, I get it. Like they've moved on from that time and a place, right? And there's not enough adjustment that can make them go back. When we have these tower moments of realizing who our friends are and who they're not. And just because you're not like on the same path as somebody doesn't mean you're not friendlies, right? Because in life you may actually have a common mission, which is, avoiding these things, right? Versus other folks to be like, ah. It's so funny this came up too because I was just watching this thing 11 o'clock on the clock, China destroying these ghost cities that nobody lives in. You know what I mean? I'm sure they have homeless problems like the United States does. Like, why can't we build up some, stuff like that? Anyway, who knows? Maybe some billionaires already got that figured out. Right? Somebody with tons of money that doesn't know what to do with it, right? So for a lot of you collective too, I feel like there's been people that like think you're just like made of money and resources, and it's like, again, you're running your kids to school, you're putting food on your own table, you're paying your bills, you're tending to the flock like a good shepherd would. So if these people have a problem with it, they can stay outside the walls of Jericho, okay? Go hit up that wailing wall. Pray about it. Pray about it. Right? Because you're like, a fool and his money are easily parted. Well, Mama didn't raise no fool. Mama raised the person that knows how to pay her cell phone bill and the light bill and the mortgage bill and the insurance bill and all these other kinds of things. So guess what? There's folks that are grown and they've never had to take care of this. A lot of them are married. Just, I know you're out there. So, first step is admitting, right? Admitting. That's when some of these folks are giving you these, advice and nuggets of wisdom, and they're like, "Oh, well, I do this and I do that." Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you do that because you have a certain foundation in place that allows you to do that, right? So their baseline collective is not the same as yours, right? And they're starting to realize that because as they've been trying to pour into your resources, right, and pull on your energy, and they're realizing it and they're like, man, I kind of come from like, you know what I mean? Like these might be people that are, higher status than you, especially like your supervisors at work, and they do the, you know, just hover around you, you know what I mean? But no. Yeah, it's like the teacher that's looking at you doing your work during the test. And it's like, can you buzz off, please, so I can fucking think over here? Unless you need something, I don't want to see you again today. Right? But they're walking around like they're minding the camp. You know what I'm saying? I kind of like that they change it to supervisor instead of boss, you know. Some people are called team leads, you know. So anyway, just because somebody is in a position that appears superior in nature does not mean that they are superior in all of your talent, skills, and abilities. just like they may be superior in other things that you may be working towards collective, right? And you know what I'm saying? Because it may not be a place of, well, that person shouldn't have that, right? It's just realizing that not everybody does, right? And if that's something you want to work towards, well, sure, put that on your bingo card for 2025, right? Some people do vision boards. The old days we used to do the collages. I have a Pinterest account, but like some people do that. I prefer kind of like some of the old school magazines type stuff, which they still sell magazines. They're just kind of expensive now. But one good way though, if you were like looking for craft ideas, like go around to some doctor's offices and stuff and see if they have any old magazines that they just want to get rid of. You know what I mean? They'll probably give them to you. You know what I mean? Like, why do they care? A lot of them, they'll get it. They get them for free there anyway. Anyway, okay. Yeah. So again, that might be a message for somebody too. Check your dental care, or maybe you need to make an appointment or check when your next dental appointment is. Um, because you don't want it like if you have like a something in there that needs to be attending, you don't want it to get worse, right? Like when you can easily, that's the thing about the tower. It's like sometimes, yeah, it's like that, and you're just like, hmm. So you were warned. There were signs, right? Did it anyway. Did it anyway. And it's like, is that bringing happiness? Thank you for the likes, by the way, today. Um, so, and yeah. And again, some of this collective is going to allow you to get back to the enjoyment of doing things, right? Now that you may have done some readjustments, okay? Especially with folks that thought you and them were going to be like one big happy family till the end of time, no matter what, right? And some people think that that is what unconditional love is, but unconditional love is not love without potential boundaries in place, right? Because we all have rights as individuals, right? And nobody is allowed to overpower another. People may try, and that creates karmic conditions, right? But that's, again, not taking away your shine, is it? You're like, who are you on your high horse? Well, actually, my horse is named Harry. It's not high. And he's about 15 hands. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. You got to think about it, at the end of the day, it's no longer your loss, it's their loss, right? And that's why they're running around like, oh no, right? Right? Where's so and so? They were always able to get my phone to work. Where's so and so? Because I don't have enough money till my next payday to pay my phone bill, and where's so and so? I lost my bus pass. I don't know how I'm gonna get to work. It's like, are we talking about teenagers here, or and then you might be hearing that mama said knock you out because mama didn't raise no fool. It's very simple as that. So I've seen some other reads too lately, and they have been talking about, like kind of separating yourself from the drama. So that might be part of this, ending this tough cycle and not letting people rope you into their schemes. You know what I mean? A lot of times if you're in a certain workplace, you're in a certain group, whatever, you have to kind of like go along to get along and you don't say anything, right? Yeah. But then it's like the Lincoln Park, yeah. You're like one step closer to the edge and you're breaking this up because it ain't working for you. Right? And the second you do, again, oh what well, I guess you should have thought about that before. All the tomfoolery and, the things that make people change their minds and say, you know what, I deserve better than this. Or, I'm okay without listening to so and so chat on and on and on today. So I'm having a good day on my own, right? And talk about minding your P's and Q's. Which for some folks, this might be in trouble because you're no longer, you know what I mean? You're no longer there. The bottom, one of the bottom rungs of their pyramid, cheering them on to the top of ladder of success. So now where's the magic at? Again, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. And then what did we just have? The full moon. I had to bring it out. So and that's Pisces, and we had Leo again with the sun. So sun and the moon, you might be feeling some after effects from the full moon. My dog was so barky yesterday. Like usually I can handle it, but like you know what I mean? Because once she gets going, it's just like almost on a recording, right? On a loop. And collective, again, that illusion of you being on that loop is gone. You're like, I don't need to be on that loop. I'm gazing into my crystal ball, figuring out where I'm going next, and it ain't in no loop. Right? Anybody watching from Chicago would be like, what you got against the loop? Nothing. One of the last times I was down in that area, I had, I think it was a lobster roll. And there was parking like right across the street. I lucked out. You know what I mean? That doesn't always happen. You know? So, and I don't know what it used to be called, but Northerly Island or whatever. I like that place I've been there for like a concert before and it was a lot of fun. Okay, so yeah, let the good times roll. It's kind of one of those things where you look at it and you're like, oh, you see they got a cell phone. You're like, okay. At that point you're out of the picture. They got to call AAA or whoever it is. You know? So anyway, it's been your Monday message. Kind of wonky energy, but we just had a full moon. So you might be feeling some residuals from that. If I look at the calendar, yeah, definitely some scorpionic energy here today. Okay. Yeah, there something going on with Scorpio. So anyway, Yeah, again, I'm not an astrologer. I tell you guys that all the time, but I do recommend that you look up your charts, okay? I was just reading the other day, there's also a third kind of chart called like draconic or something. I don't know. I'm only familiar with the Vedic and Western. So, if you thought like, well, I was born under the sign of Leo and that's it. Right? Well, you might be missing out on a whole bunch of possibilities, right? If you close yourself, you know, into, this silo, thinking you can only do one thing. What happens if you get injured and you can't do that thing anymore? You know what I mean? That's sometimes when people get angry and mad, and it's like, well, in theory, right? Nothing lasts forever, even ourselves, right? We all hope we live long, productive lives, right? But the truth is, sometimes there's a different plan for us, a different direction to go that we didn't even know we could be successful in until that tower moment hits. That's how the collective looks at a tower moment, right? More like a Scorpio type thing. You're just like, yeah, okay. Dangling a little close in there, you go, that could have been a close one, right? And you're like, somebody should put a fence here. Maybe I'll write a letter. I don't know. And then. All right. So, you know, if you see those towers happen, you have choices, but you also have your own assignments as well, right? Um, so staying on your path, yeah, might you wiggle versus wobble a little bit, um, but being goal focused is going to be the key. Okay. Yeah, and bring love into the situation. Yeah, don't forget what you know. Okay. So here you're very close to achieving your goal. Don't forget what you already know. You ever work with some old timers? They'd be like, I forgot everything that you'll ever know. It's like I was talking about the other day. Like, some of y'all never worked with an old crotchety man before, and it shows. You know what I mean? You need to grow a little bit thicker skin. Just a touch. Just a touch. Okay. Again, I was saying the other day, you might not like who, is the current, executive office holder, but the pendulums does swing. So you want a bunch of folks that can't take care of themselves, feeling entitled, right, to what you got, right? And that the mentality, right? Without working for it. It's like they want you to suffer as they've suffered. Some of these people, it's like, wait a second, what's suffering? What, you had a boat as it? Your family had a boat as a kid? You went boating? I mean, some people would be like, okay. Yeah. So being very close to achieving your goal. Okay. And maybe that for some of you is having more time for recreation. All right. So again, having more time for recreation, maybe that doesn't mean, going to your friend's business every month, every anymore, you know, and spending $80 there every time. Maybe you're going to go and use that money some other way, right? And staying in touch with who you are as an individual, your goals, and how you want to move society forward, right? And that's often why they come to try and keep folks busy that have that kind of motivation, right? Because they see the drive, but they want to fool you into thinking that it's going to somehow be reciprocated, right? And then when you find out it's not, and you're like, Pshaw! Like, oh yeah, that's right, I'm awake. Yeah, you didn't know that? Oh, that's too bad for you, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because having a youthful spirit doesn't mean ignorance. You know, even people who society at one time legally called, you know, ignorant or whatever some of these names are, right? Um, you know, even those folks ain't doing the stuff that some of these people out here, scammers and schemers, are doing. Again, be careful, tax season. The IRS will not call you, okay? So, thick as thieves. But you know, some of those folks are going to get the towers. You know, report those folks when you can too, right? You know, help a neighbor out. Mm-hmm. Right? You know, versus reporting your neighbor that ain't doing nothing wrong. That pays their taxes. Yeah. I think that's all I got for you guys. So 6, 19, and 0. Um, we also have 16 here with the tower, which goes to 7. So there might be things that have happened within the last couple years that might be now getting sorted out. So that might be, for some of you, part of this tough cycle ending. Okay, that doesn't mean you're not going to get a new challenge or another cycle, right, to go on. It's just not going to be the same type of, you know, it's actually going to be like people bringing flowers, people bringing the tablecloth, people bringing this, not people bringing chaos and noise and, yeah, all that, right? Okay. All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Thank you for all the likes. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video. So I will see you next time. Bye.